All right. Well, welcome everybody. It is 6:30. Hopefully you all can hear me. If you can hear me, maybe if you give me a thumbs up, or if you see some of those reaction buttons at the bottom, you can give a smiley face.
Give me some hearts.
I will. All right. Looks good.
What's that you want these things?
Okay. Well, we have actually reached capacity for a Zoom meeting. So this is being recorded, and so we will put this up on our website so that all folks who are not able to get in get access to the exact same information. Okay. Welcome. I am your principal, Mr. Nog. I'm excited that we are able to meet this evening. We are here at Golden View, and we are just ready to get the year started. So thanks for making time. And again, if you have questions, please feel free to put those in the chat box, and we will do our best to address those. So one of the ways that we always start our meetings at Golden View is we follow the Excel model. And as part of the Excel model, we start with engaging, and that's a welcome. And this is a picture actually of a series of our graduates that are part of the South High School ROTC color guard that came this last year and presented the colors at our basketball game, as well as at many different events that we had throughout the year. So just to start, what we're going to do is, hopefully you guys can hear this, but with that picture up here, being that it is the spirit of school, we're going to play the Star Spangled Banner ever so swiftly. So if you are wearing a hat, feel free to take that off. And if you would join me, please rise as much as I can here. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate that. All right. All right. We're in the spirit of starting the day late in the day. I love it. So we're going to go on to our needs. And of course, this is our Zoom meeting and the information about the meeting ID. And again, like I said, glad to see that we reached capacity. That's wonderful that we have so many people turning out. And we will be sure to get this posted so that those that are unable to make it in get access to this information. First and foremost, welcome back. I know that this has been a very challenging year in so many different ways, from fourth quarter till now. There are so many different hurdles and variables and constant moving targets, both personally, professionally, and as a community. So if there's any way that we can support you, or you are struggling in any way, shape, or form, and you feel it's something that we can help you with, please reach out. Let us know what we can do, because we want to make sure that we're supporting you. And as part of that, I just want to take a moment and thank our entire team of professionals here, from the front office staff to our counselors, to our teachers, to the nurse, to our BPO, to TAs. It really took all of us to be able to get all of these items in motion so that we could support and begin our year off the way that we think we should. So thank you to our team, just an amazing group of professionals. So thank you for that. Many of you noticed that our student schedules were live as of the 17th. And like many things during this pandemic, we have to be flexible. And part of being flexible is being humble. And as an organization, both here in our building as well as at the district level, there were some hurdles that were far more global that impacted the ability for schedules to come out sooner. So I know, and I apologize that was yet another stress in everybody's life, but know that at this point we should be good to go, and you should be able to look in your student's profile, and if you're a student and you're watching, you should be able to look in your profile and see what classes you have. Today is our open house, and again, thank you for making it. If you have device needs, many families have reached out and contacted myself, Mr. White, or the front office, and we have put your information into a universal Google Doc that is connected to student transportation, and they will make sure that if you need a Chromebook, they will get that to you. If you have connectivity issues, then there is some new protocol for that, and Mr. White, our assistant principal, is going to be the point of contact for that, because GCI is actually going to be phasing out the MiFis that they distributed as in the middle of September. So just as a heads up, you probably got an email on that today from the district office, but just want to put that on your radar. If you're having connectivity issues, please reach out and we will do our best to help you with that. One of the many things that the school district is in charge of in so many ways is that of providing not only an education, but also that of student nutrition. And although we are not a distribution site here at Golden View, there are numerous sites throughout town. And so if you are on the lunch program or interested in a meal, then please just take a look at our district website, Student Nutrition, to find out the various locations of drop-offs. As needs change, so too does the district, and we adapt to the needs of our clients. And so please, if there is something that you need in regards to that, don't hesitate to reach out and we'll do our best to meet those needs. One of the difficult things of situations like this is finding that balance in communication. And there is a definite skill in balancing the frequency and depth of communication. So I hope that I've tried to make a very conscious effort to not over or under communicate, and at the same time not inundate you with every single piece as it comes, because I know, especially if you have multiple students in the district, it is sometimes you need your own personal assistant probably to work your inbox and various other things. So some things that the district has supported for us moving forward is that we now have a Remind app for the entire district. So they purchased a site license for our entire district, and that creates an opportunity for appropriate two-way communication between students and families, especially while our teachers and paraprofessionals telecommute from home. It allows them to use their cell phone and not in a way that is uncomfortable for anybody. And that way too, if you need immediate help, it's an opportunity, one more way to communicate, although I can't guarantee that they're going to immediately get back to you because they have many students. But it's one more, hopefully seamless way to reach out, to touch base, and get further information. Our library is going to be up and running soon, and I want to just thank Miss Odell, our librarian. She wanted me to make sure and pass along that we are going to, in the near future, begin a library loan program, so more information to come on that as to what that looks like. So stay tuned, because we want to make sure we're getting books in the hands of kids when we can, when it's appropriate, and when it's safe. Also, the district has purchased a site license for something that we've been using at Golden View for quite some time, and that is Newsela, which is a wonderful current event news application that allows students and teachers and parents, for that matter, to adjust the lexile level, so the level at which a reader is processing the information. It'll take the same article and allow you to adjust it up or down, and ultimately having the same message but using more lexically dense information to further expand on the content. So another great opportunity for some more mobile learning during this situation that we're in. Additionally, the district has just rolled out a health link, and what it is it's a QR code that we use when we come to any ASD building, and there'll be more information to come on that as far as wider usage, but it has a screener with some questions and then clearly checking temperatures and things of that sort so that we are maintaining an acceptable level of health given the information that we know. These links here are essential, and in my email to families, I said, hey, I totally understand that we get a lot of emails. This is one that you're going to want to save, because all of these links are very important to understanding how to access this brave, bold new world that we're living in. So the first one being our GVMS website. That is the #1 source for all things GVMS. If you go there now, which will pop over there in a little bit, it has a calendar. It tells you exactly what's going on. It has banners across the top and hot button items that are of note. So it behooves you when you have the opportunity to check that out. The next link is that of the Anchorage School District Smart Start info. And so the Smart Start is the overall plan that the district has created in terms of evaluating community safety and making informed decisions. And as part of that, the appropriate methods that we know of to this point as to how we would adjust if that health level changes. So it's really important to look at that just to kind of see what those concepts are. And as you know, we started initially going into the fall with potentially being in school for a portion of the week. But due to health concerns, we've clearly pivoted. So it's important to take a look at that, because in this fluid situation, we are likely to see some more changes to that. The next piece is called iReady. And iReady is a diagnostic assessment. And as you know, we historically have benchmark tests such as MAPS or PEAKS, numerous different tests, but we haven't had the ability to test all of our students in some time because of the COVID situation. And so we're very fortunate that in the first couple weeks of school, we're actually going to be giving this iReady assessment to all of our kids that they can take remotely. And one of the beautiful things about this is it's going to tell us diagnostically where strengths and deficiencies are. And with the areas of deficiency, iReady then puts together a personalized pathway for your child in the form of modules. So like, let's say geometry. Maybe you're having difficulty with one aspect of it. The iReady assessment, because it's assessing English language arts as well as math, will identify that area of struggle and then actually put together modules to help your student work through that asynchronously, so not based on a specific timetable. And it's yet another resource that can be used throughout the year, whether you're having struggles or you're doing exceedingly well. It has modules all the way through high school. So this is an important one to look at. And as part of that, I'm going to pause this for a moment and pull up the iReady here. Okay. All right, hopefully you guys can see the iReady piece there, Family Center. And again, this is the link that's in there. And we're just going to take a brief moment and we're going to scroll down here, right here to say, what is iReady? heck of a question. So we click on that, and then we're going to just take a quick moment. And please, if you would, give me a thumbs up if you can hear this.
Hi, my name is Mark Bernstein. I'm a National Director at Curriculum Associates, and we are the iReady people. For the student, iReady serves two functions. Number one, it's an online diagnostic assessment that pinpoints math and reading skills down to the sub-skill level. And number two, it's online learning that caters to a student's specific needs, whether those needs are on, above, or below level. I'd like to share 4 things you need to know about iReady. Number one, the iReady online assessment is adaptive in nature. This means that students see questions based on how they're performing. If a student struggles, the questions get easier. If a student is breezing through, the questions become more challenging. Once a student completes the diagnostic, the teacher will know exactly what the student needs, so it eliminates the necessity to over-test our children, thus allowing more time for teaching. Number two, the iReady online instruction is personalized to the individual. Once a student completes the diagnostic, his or her results will differ from classmates, so we give each student their own pathway based on diagnostic results. If the student needs help with reading comprehension, that student will get lessons to help. If the student has geometry skills above grade level, that student will receive geometry content that's above grade level. Support for those who have gaps to fill, enrichment for those who are exceeding grade level expectations. Number three, iReady is not a grading tool. Your child won't get an A or a C- based on how they perform in iReady. iReady supports students, challenges students, gives students math and reading content that is right at their level. iReady helps children to grow, but it is not used to assign grades. And number four, iReady is not designed to replace the teacher. In every school district, teachers are an irreplaceable asset. iReady supports teachers by helping group students with similar needs for targeted instruction, what we call differentiation. Once small groups are established, iReady's teacher toolbox is just one of the many resources that teachers may use to provide targeted instruction. But replace the teacher? Never. Thank you very much for watching this video. We look forward to seeing your students succeed with iReady.
All right, can you see the slideshow again, hopefully virtual open house? All right, so the next link here is how to log into Zoom. I'm not gonna take up all of your personal time here with going through all of these videos, but I wanna let you know that these are things that if you have time to look at. But as we go through this presentation, there are also individual slides that are another way to access as well as explain the process of getting on. For most of our students, this is old hat. For some, it's brand new. And for those of us that are maybe slightly more mature in age, it gives us an opportunity to learn a little bit more. So definitely want to take a look at those. Many of the applications that we use in the Anchorage School District with our kids are tied to Google in so many ways, whether it be SPED accommodations through Google Read and Write, or whether it be through Google Slides or through word processing. And so this is actually an opportunity here to learn how to link your Drive to your Canvas account, because Canvas is ultimately the source of where 99% of the education will be based out of as its primary location of identifying it. Beneath that, as part of Canvas, is what's called this Parent Observer link. And in there is information on, for you as a parent, on how to create a parent account so that you can monitor what's going on. Clearly, we're going to be monitoring our students' progress, but it's also really handy to be able to have that even more in-depth understanding of where your student is at. And so as such, I just highly recommend that if you're able to and you have the time to, please set up a Parent Observer account. Doesn't take too long. Beneath that is a video that was created in-house by our own teacher, Miss Anderson, that gives an overview of Canvas both from the perspective of a student and a teacher, because it's important to note that both sides of this don't necessarily look exactly the same, but they have a function that is tied together. And so it's important to see the whole scope of that to understand where that fits in. So one of the most common questions that is being asked is, hey, Mr. Nog, how do I log into this? I don't remember any of this. For most of our kids, their student login information is here. It's last name dot first name, and then your password is your student ID. Now, many of our kids have since changed that, and so it's possible that that formula may not work for you. If that's the case, just reach out to us at the school during business hours, and we will gladly give you a hand with resetting that or working on that. Our first day of school is this Thursday, August 20th. First period starts at 8:45. So we're going to talk about what the schedule looks like overall as a whole for the school. But I just put that in red just to sear that in our memories, just to remember, hey, we got to be there. So we expect to see everybody's smiling faces in front of their computers. And if you can't get to it via computer, know that Zoom also has capabilities to be able to dial in should you encounter the internet failure, or just sometimes in the stress of life and you've got everybody on the internet, sometimes it just doesn't work. So there are options for access as well. While you are in this environment and you have a Chromebook, we have a help desk that is specific to helping out you all. And so 742-HELP, I put the numbers there just in case, but they're who you would reach out to if you're having technical issues. Although we are relatively adept, one thing we are not is we are not the greatest technicians when it comes to some of these electronics, and so they're going to be the ones that can give the greatest help. And then here in this picture here that I just clicked on, that you have, is just an example of the Canvas portal. This is my Canvas portal, so it's going to be a little bit different than most people's, but just wanted to show you an example that similarly you will have your tools and access points located here on the left side. Because we had to pivot in the sense of moving to a 3-period day for the reality that it's very difficult. And I experienced this myself as a parent, that it was really difficult to log on to numerous classes. So the district, in hearing the feedback, we are doing kind of a blended model in the sense that we are offering 3 classes at a time in our traditional fashion. And because of the time on task and the instruction going on, students will be accomplishing what we used to do in a semester and a quarter because they have half as many classes, or looking at it that they have twice as much instruction in those courses that they're enrolled. And as part of that, it's imperative to know that historically we can look at changes to elective course changes in the first 10 days. However, given these extraordinary times and limited opportunities, that we have to make these decisions after the first 5 days. So if for some reason you're inquiring about, hey, maybe this wasn't my first choice for elective, we totally understand it. Statistically speaking, it's impossible for us to give every student their first choice for obvious reasons. So we give the offerings that we have. And as of this afternoon, the options that I'm about to list are ones that potentially could be open. Whether or not it works with your schedule, you'll have to work with your counselors. So thank you to Ms. Bryers and Ms. Harley, our 2 counselors. If you have questions, please reach out to them in regards to this. But what I'm seeing on our list as still potential openings is, it looks like we have some spots in French, Spanish, band, choir, orchestra, art, applied tech, computer tech, family consumer sciences, and video production. So just some things to think about. The iReady, the reason that we're doing this is really just to get a gauge on where our students are, but also too, knowing that our students, let's say hypothetically your student has math first quarter. Under our current format, your student would have math first and third quarter. But what about quarters 2 and 4? Fair question. like many subjects, probably like every subject, it's very beneficial to visit it as frequently as possible. And given the constraints that we have, clearly we can't do that, but these modules are a way to self-pace and asynchronously work on some of those areas that are very important to you or are a passion or an area that you need to maybe brush up on a little bit. So know that the district has also provided that iReady is not only a diagnostic adaptive screener, but also that of a true resource that families can use. So we're excited about that. There's the parent link beneath that there. And again, those are live links. So this Google presentation, we will have a link on our website so that as things change or if there's more information related to what it is that we're talking about, we'll update it here. And because it's in a Google Doc, you can access it on nearly any device and not have to worry about bandwidth or storage. Safety, as you know, is always our number one priority. We're going to continue to do our safety drills, but we'll be doing those in a different fashion. There's going to be more information to come on that. We're still doing our due diligence and typical things around our school premises, but it's also important to do those things around the home. So it's a great time to have those discussions about what's your family emergency plan? Let's just say there was an earthquake. What are we going to do? So when we talk about safety plans, we're not just talking exclusively about school. And also as part of that, we have our emergency action plan, which is up to date here at the school and is adaptive to nearly any scenario, which is a great thing. So we've talked iReady. Now let's talk MAP. We are going to be able to administer MAP testing even if we are continuing in this distance mode, which is a great thing because understanding where our students' benchmarks are, where we would like them to be, and also to celebrate growth, but also to identify those areas of struggle. We're going to have our MAP test, and there's going to be more information coming out on that. And that window is going to open September 14th at this point. So I'm putting that out there just so that A, we don't put all of our eggs in one basket, but also two, just to be realistic that it's important to kind of keep gauging. But again, just as was referenced earlier, we're not trying to overtest, but we do need to see where kids are at. And also as part of this is the GVMS online decorum link. And this was something that we had created last year. And we will just take a brief moment to show that here, if it allows me to. Do you guys see the YouTube now, hopefully? Okay, so here we go. Okay. We'll exit out there. All right, so this just in hot off the presses here. Thanks for folks that are putting questions in the chat. Miss Chrissy, thank you for getting some of these to me. First question that seems to be popping up is, hey, Mr. Nog. Whoa, wait a second. What's playing in the background?
Video
here?
awards.
It's the video awards. Okay. Is related to textbooks and materials. So based on the last communication from ASD, we are apparently not handing out textbooks. That we're doing the majority of this on that of our laptops, so as to minimize the potential for transmission. That being said, there's going to be more information about that. And of course, as you can imagine, there's everything from copyright concerns to logistics. But that being said, to this point, to my knowledge, if there's something that's based out of a textbook, teachers will be scanning that. And for any curriculum that's been adopted within the last 5-6 years, there are currently online components of that, as well as web-based versions of the text itself. So I hope that answers that question. Excuse me. And looks like there was a question about, will ASD Virtual use iReady? So ASD Virtual will likely use iReady, but being that ASD Virtual is a separate program from us, although we're your home school, this is an emerging new program. And so I don't want to speak too heavily about what Virtual is doing, just because, frankly, I'm not deeply versed in it. And so I don't want to mislead you, but I will say that ASD Virtual is basing their curriculum out of both eDynamics as well as Apex. So hopefully that answers that question for you. Next, the schedule. So first and foremost, when all this happened, our number one safety, again, is always keeping our kids, keeping our staff, keeping our community safe. And so when we do have the opportunity to come back, we are ready to go. We've got our masks. We've got our mask required signs. We've got everything from signs for the bathroom to outside the bathroom. Hey, guys, wash your hands. Just saying. It's a good tip. As well as social distancing, 6-foot stickers or more, depending upon what the advice is from CDC, as well as from the state and any associated authority that gives us direction on that. So you'll see first here classes. Classes occur on Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, there are not classes for students. This is the day that we will be doing copious amounts of professional development, because, as you can imagine, education has drastically changed in the last 5 or 6 months as a result of the COVID epidemic. And so from the curricular changes to simply accessing the portals and refining delivery, giving folks the opportunity to collaborate and share outstanding lessons, as well as meeting the needs of students who are on IEPs, 504s, family meetings, and lots of other functions that we do within the school. We're trying to isolate those to Wednesdays so as to best serve everybody's time. But of course, we're here to help families. And so if you have an IEP meeting, or you have a need that just doesn't happen to fall on a Wednesday, don't worry. We're going to work with you. We'll do our best. But just realize that this is how our day is going to look. So again, on Thursday and Friday, you're back in class. And a typical day is going to start just like this. Teachers, they will collaborate from 8 to 8:35. In the world of education, we frequently refer to those as PLCs, or professional learning communities. In this case, this is an opportunity for our teachers to collaborate both across their teams and across their disciplines or subjects. Very fortunate this year that we were able to make a return to the idea and concept of having kids on 4-person teams, so their core teams. And that was twofold. One being, we know that small communities are what's best for our kids, that they connect well, that they have a sense of belonging, and also too, that they get a chance to learn how to operate within that specific group, and the teachers find out how to best support those students. Additionally, if we look at our Smart Start plan, one of the pieces and premises for what it is that we've done is we've been able to take each team and mathematically divide it in half-ish within a handful of students, so that should we have the opportunity to return, and we return at that medium high risk model where we are back in school for a couple days and then another cadre of kids come in, we already have our master schedule set up so that transition should be really seamless. And we've asked at the district level, and they're working on it, to be able to show you guys your entire year-long schedule, because what it is we're talking about is so foreign, and it is very confusing, and I entirely understand that. I've had wonderful conversations and Zoom sessions with families, and after today, if you still have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I will make time, we will make time, and address whatever concerns that we can address for you. So teacher day starting at 8:35, they end their collaboration. Then, of course, we're keeping that concept of the durability of this so as to minimize overall systematic changes. And there is a 10-minute passing. Now, kids, I'm sorry, it's not really a 10-minute passing. Okay. If we return to a school environment, what would happen is, although there's 10 minutes, we would ask that students, because we won't be using lockers, would go straight to their next course. And then they'd be welcome to have 7 or 8 minutes to chat it up with their peers, clearly not in the hallway, but in their classroom, just to give them a brain break. And period 1, as you can see, starts at 8:45. So it's important on Thursday to be in front of your computer 5 or 10 minutes before that, just in case you encounter some type of issue, whether it be logging on or some other issue that is bound to happen at some point. Sorry, there were some folks at my window there. Wasn't sure what's going on there. And so then that way you're just prepared, because it's always better to be early. Again, a little passing time in there. Period 2 is broken up so that should we return back to school, there is a little snack break in there. And clearly one of the foreseeable hurdles of returning back to school is that of, we don't want to socially distance all day and then say, hey, let's all go into the NPR and have lunch, because that doesn't really make a ton of sense. So with the help of student nutrition and our supervisors, we were able to come to an agreement, and thanks teachers for being so flexible and willing to be a part of this, that when we do return, what will happen is there will actually be pre-prepared sack lunches that will be distributed that kids would take with them home as they leave, so as to not create that opportunity for a mass spread event. And lastly, our hope is that as things start to wane a little bit, that we'll be able to return to bringing back our after-school activities. As we've seen as of just this week, the high school portion of our division was able to start some small versions of conditioning courses for some of the student athletes that are participating. Don't have a crystal ball. I don't know that that's going to happen, but we are definitely prepared to support it should we have that opportunity. So at the mid-level, we will, when we have the opportunity to, we'll be offering intramural sports. So what that means is we would still have competition. It would just be in-house. We wouldn't be traveling. So to parallel it to college, the Big Ten will not be playing the Big 12. So our kids would be playing in-house, and ultimately it's about keeping kids active. And if we're able to do that in a safe way, we're all for it, because it's so important for our kids to have these outlets, and it's just a great opportunity for them to build their social circle and also have fun staying active. All right, moving along here, this is how to access Canvas. So we have videos that were shown in this link here. I didn't show the videos, but the links are there for you. These are actual step-by-step guides here in slides so that you can log on. And of course, you're gonna make sure you're using a Chrome browser. If you're on a Chromebook, it's your default, so that works out really, really well. But the majority of our software and web-based software throughout the district typically operates best out of Chrome as your browser. So if you're still out there using Netscape, I don't even think that exists anymore. But if it did, don't use that one. And how to access, again, for many people, I've had folks reach out and say, oh, we tried this, but my student's ID number didn't work, because kids often will change it, which is a great thing. I highly recommend changing it from the default. If you're running into an issue with that, please just give us a ring tomorrow, and we will just hopefully iron that out for you. And how to access the information. So once we're actually in Canvas, you will see where earlier I pointed to kind of this toolbar on the left side. This is actually where you would go and take a look at your classes on your dashboard. And so you'll see these boxes that will pop up for each course that you have, and you would just simply click on that and it would take you directly there. And the other important thing to look at always is announcements, because that's where you might find that a teacher says, hey, this is due on this date, or here is this resource, or just some other pertinent information related to whether it be school itself as a whole or specific to the course. Also, as part of this, I'm able to push out messages as the principal through there, but at this point we'll continue with our status quo of using Blackboard on that, unless something should change. So some things to think about. First and foremost, our expectations. We have to be really kind to ourselves, because people have been taking on a lot, and this is a whole new world, and I don't know that families have ever had to juggle so much in modern history. And so it's important to be realistic about our expectations for our kids. It's important to be realistic about our expectations as ourselves as parents or guardians, and not set the bar unrealistically high for ourselves in the initial term, because we don't need to transfer our stress or our concerns any more than we already do subconsciously. So again, when it comes to Zoom, we want kids there. We're taking attendance in the first 10 minutes of class. But I also want you to know we'll reach out if it's an issue, but we get it. Kids are going to miss school. And guess what? That's not a problem. Just like you normally would in school, just give us a call at the school and say, hey, we're absent today, and we can go in and we can excuse you. Okay, so know that that is our typical practice, and that's continuing. Grades, we're going to be issuing minimally a grade per week per class, and hopefully not a whole lot more than that, because again, the goal is to impart education and not increase the blood pressure unnecessarily. Collaboration time is going to be tremendous for our teachers in supporting our kids and supporting parents and families as we work through this. So know that we have set aside a lot of time, thanks to the help of our district, making it a priority. So very much appreciate that. PPE, our personal protective equipment, we have plenty on hand here. We have sanitary kits now prepared for every room, and numerous other items, so that should we, based on current asks and requirements, we meet those currently. Should something change, of course, we would meet that change as well. So as far as the front office, as you may know, no school is open to the public at this point. And even for staff, there's a fair process that they have to follow related to the health app, as well as checking temperatures and self-reporting and things of that nature. So as we start to move closer to the model where we're able to come back to school, I'll speak more specifically about that, because it's really difficult. We have an amazing front office staff, and they are the source of so much information aside from joy, which they just exude daily. So we'll talk about how you still get access to that, but how we do that in a safe way. So at this point, we have plexiglass installed at the front desk. But that being said, as you know, health requirements and knowledge about kind of our current status is ever changing. So that's where we're at as of today. For special education, we're offering all of our services that we historically would. No change in that. Some of it may look a little bit different because, especially when we talk about things like behavior goals, for instance, operating on Zoom does not allow us the same types of human interaction maybe that we would be able to pick up on with nonverbal cues, reading a room. There's a lot of different things that are nuances associated with learning through distance education via Zoom, which we know, but know that we offer all of those same services. And Miss Jenny Leapart is our special education department chair. So if you have some questions, or you are thinking about ways to support your child, or maybe you aren't sure, but this transition has maybe brought to light an area where your student might be struggling, let's have a conversation, because it may apply, it may not. But you've got lots of resources here in your neighborhood school to help you navigate that. Also, Nurse Bell, she is deep in the world of promoting and supporting public health here, and she is available. You can give her a call, or you can shoot her an email about anything COVID or otherwise. She is a great source of information. And as we get closer to hopefully transitioning, there'll be some further information that comes out about process and procedure, especially as we talk about when kids start to come back, ensuring that if your child receives medication or has a specific medical plan, that we are ready for that, and that all those supports are in place so that it's as seamless as it can be. Our enrollment is down from where we initially had it. Initially, we were somewhere in that probably 740 range. We dropped to 708. And as of today, we have 648 students, which is great. So when we're looking at class sizes right now, you will be very impressed with the pupil to teacher ratio. We have classes that typically are ranging between 10 and less than 20 students per class, with just a handful of exceptions. And when we return in person, it would be essentially 50% of that. So although my master's wasn't in math, by my math, that's wonderful computation. So we're looking forward to the opportunity to put that into play when the time is right and things are in our favor. Activities, again, we talked about how we're going to be doing intramural, meaning you won't compete against other schools. But one of the really positives about that too is that the school district has allowed us to waive fees, which I think is wonderful, because I always want every kid that comes through the front doors of Golden View Middle School to try an activity, whether it's co-curricular, whether it's academic, whether it's athletic in nature. Try something different. You don't have to commit to it to life. You don't have to sign a contract with the Rams, but I do want you to go out there and create new social circles and explore those different opportunities, because you don't know, you might have some amazing skill or love of an activity that would otherwise not have the opportunity to be investigated. So also just keep in mind that the Anchorage School District will be reviewing the health status every 2 weeks. And so as things change, we will be communicating with you, as will the district office. So we're just kind of in a 2-week cycle of constantly being aware. And as soon as we know something, we'll clearly get that out to you. It's probably fair to assume that just in the short term that we're going to maintain this model for a little bit. How long, I can't say, but we're prepared to handle it from 1 week to 1 year. So we're ready either way, and we're here to support you through this. And ultimately, our goal is to be a grounding force. We're here to provide stability and a sense of community in this really tumultuous time. And as part of that, it's our job and it's our obligation and it's our passion to be positive about supporting families and kids. So again, don't be too proud. If you need something, reach out. We're here. This is why we do what we do. Is nothing brings us more joy than helping families and kids have a better day and learn while we're doing it. So please don't hesitate. And this is, kids know that each morning when I do the announcements, I'm a bit of a fan of quotes that kind of bring us to a moment of mindfulness and purpose for the day. So I'm going to read you this quote that I felt really spoke to kind of where we're at. And that is, this comes to us by way of one Bruce Lee. You might have heard of him. But it says, be like water making its way through cracks. Do not be assertive, but adjust to the object, and you shall find a way around or through it. If nothing within you stays rigid, outward things will disclose themselves. Empty your mind, be formless, shapeless like water. If you put water into a cup, it becomes a cup. If you put water into a bottle, it becomes a bottle. If you put it in a teapot, it becomes a teapot. Now, water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. And for me, what this really speaks to is just the importance of being flexible, because none of us have all the answers. If we did, we'd write a book. And really, during times like this, we just have to continue to be open to change, realizing that it can be uncomfortable at times, but that we're all in this together. And we're going to be flexible, we're going to be malleable, and we're going to get through this and come out even stronger than we came in, which is an exciting prospect. But lastly, and in closing, if you have some questions that I didn't address today, please don't hesitate to reach out, and I'm here for you, whether by email, phone call, or Zoom. And most importantly, thank you for making your child's education your number one priority, because it's our number one priority. And thanks for setting this time aside. I wish we could have got even more people into the Zoom, but like I said, we will get this recording up as well as this Google Doc so that you have access to the newest versions of it. And last but not least, I hope that you stay safe and go Suns. Have a great
Thank you, Mr. Nog.
Thank you. And I'll stay on for a few moments here. If there's a couple questions, I'm happy to stay on here.
We have a question, Mr. Nog.
Please.
Now for when they got the homework and sometimes they got to show their schoolwork, and say for instance some of the parents don't have phones, how do they show that work to the teachers, that they done the work or that they done the assignment?
Well, you're breaking up on me a little bit, but I think what I'm hearing you say is if technology is a hurdle, then what I would say is just reach out to us, and our teachers are going to do anything and everything they can. We have student transportation that is putting and delivering laptops to students and families, and GCI helping to provide some pieces. But if there's a specific thing that you have, just give me a call or shoot me an email, and we can overcome just about any hurdle, especially when it's something like that.
Okay.
I think it was, I saw somebody had a hand raised.
Leave Mr. Nog.
Yes.
Question, my son chose a coding for an elective,
Okay.
and he really wanted to do the band as an elective, and he texted to Mr. The band teacher, see if he can change it, but he wanted him to email the counselor.
Correct. Yeah. So teachers can't make that change because ultimately the counselors have to make it, because we can only have so many students in each class period. So it just depends on what our capacity is. But if that student reaches out to Miss Byers or Miss Harley, we can see if that can be a change that can be made. Just bear in mind that, again, we have competing factors in that specific classes. Our master schedule is very diverse as it can be given the constraints that it's placed under. So you just have to reach out to our counselors and they will let you know what the options might be.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions out there?
Are they gonna have like the spring sports for soccer?
At this point, we don't know that we're going to be having that. We're planned. We are prepared, I should say, that should we have that opportunity, we're prepared to be able to offer what we can, given whichever window we're able to work. So the goal is, when we do return, if it's safe, absolutely, we want to restore those activities as soon as it is mutually beneficial, and most importantly, as long as kids are safe. All right, Leal family, I see your hand up there.
Hi, yes. I was looking at the Canvas, and my daughter is enrolled in 2 different maths, 2 different social studies, 3 different PEs, and then her elective. So I kind of looked at Xangle as well, and it's a lot of interesting information
Yes.
to try to follow. So I'm just trying to make sure that she's enrolled in the correct class at the correct time.
Sure. So one thing I can tell you, late developing today, it was probably about 2 o'clock. We got an email in regards to there was some software or some other issue, I'm assuming with the vendor, where students were exactly like you mentioned, where they were double booked. So if you had registered with ASD Virtual or something like that, then yes, that did in fact happen today, and that was getting cleaned up. And hopefully by the early reconciliation of the software speaking to each other first thing in the morning, it should be good. Our software speaks to the connecting software a couple times a day, typically early in the morning and then 6 p.m. at night. So depending upon when things are done, then it allows for that cycle to occur.
Okay, yeah, she's enrolled in normal
Okay.
education. So
yeah, so this has been an issue that we've encountered today. So unfortunately, you're not alone, and it's something that is getting worked out at the district level. So appreciate your patience, but I entirely understand the anxiety and the uncertainty with that. So I apologize.
okay, thank you.
You bet.
Just to tag on to that, she might be actually seeing the different quarters
Yes.
of each of those classes, which is
No.
why it's doubling everything. So that could be the reason why you're seeing 2 math classes or 3 gym classes or whatever it was that you saw. So double check, because each semester's marked with a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or 4, or each quarter is so.
They're different names for the teachers.
Okay.
So it's not the same teacher. Like she has, like, say for math, she has Flores and then Cartier maybe, or Cartier.
Yep.
Yeah. So
That's a software issue that's been, it hopefully I'm told that it'll be rectified by tomorrow. So
okay.
that they fixed it today, and we're double fingers crossed that everything is going to go perfectly tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
You got it. And if not, please let me know. Thank you.
Mr. Nog,
Yes, sir.
my daughter Kylie has her hand raised there. She was just waiting for a break to get in.
Okay, go for it.
How will electives work?
Great question. So electives, everything is going to be based out of Canvas. And what's going to happen is so for each of your class periods, for the first 30 minutes or more, but the expectation is minimally 30 minutes of the beginning of each class, is there's direct instruction from your teacher. So just like how you're looking at me right now, this is exactly how the first 30 minutes of your class would be. So let's say hypothetically you're in, what's an elective that you're in?
Video announcements.
Okay, video announcements, Mr. Clock, cool. So that's where you guys might be working, starting out with Mr. Clock talking to you about hey, today we're going to be working on this function. He may screen share with you guys to see how he's working some aspects in Adobe or in Final Cut Pro or whatever specific platform you're using. And then from there could be time for individualized work where he may just say, okay, I'm going to be right here. You guys work on that. And then you may encounter a problem and say, hey, what about this? You share your screen, and then he could help with that. Additionally, teachers can pre-record lessons and are encouraged to do so that kids and families can revisit those lessons, because sometimes it's we're not conditioned, we haven't been conditioned, I should say, to a total online learning environment. So sometimes it's challenging, and sometimes we don't have the same focus maybe, but in some cases, students do exceedingly better in this environment. So anything is possible, but having the ability to come back and visit with those items is priceless. So you'll also have the ability to do that.
All right, thank you.
You got it.
Mr. Nog, I've seen a lot of in the chat on band and orchestra and whatnot, and choir too, I guess. How are any of those going to be handled?
Exactly the same way. So you're going to see your teacher for the first half hour or so, and you're going to be working on the same types of lessons that you would be working on in person. So it's going to be a very similar experience, but obviously you're going to be encountering just the issue of you're not going to be right there with your peers. I do want to give a huge shout out to Mr. Whitfield. On numerous occasions last year, he actually was able to take some of this footage, just like how you're looking at us now, and taking these screens and actually mesh student performances together to comprise a song. And so that happened on a couple occasions. And so that is just but one example of how that would go. And at the same time, I make no illusions that every single piece of this puzzle is entirely figured out. So there's going to be a lot of creativity when it comes to the delivery of those types of electives, because there are challenges that exist in those subjects that are not inherent to your traditional core classes.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You bet.
Now for special ed testing, when school starts, how are they going to do like testing for kids that is requesting, or that parents are requesting for their child to be tested to see if they qualify for special ed?
Yeah, great question. So we have our support staff. So we have our school psych. Our school psych is on site, and depending upon what type of evaluations we're looking at, whether it be a related service provider or speech, OT, all those things, the Anchorage School District has access to those. It really just depends on what level of safety we're at as to what those assessments look like, whether they are closer to face-to-face, or whether it occurs via Zoom, or whether that professional needs to observe a student in a Zoom environment. But typically there's a period of time that we observe students in order to gather data specific to what the perceived disability is or the documented disability is.
I have a question. When the students return to school, and when the medium or low risk levels, will there be bus service? Will they be required to have COVID tests before they return, or will you be taking temperatures of the children before entering the building, or what's the safety procedure set in place?
Thank you. Great question. So I can give you a broad brush stroke on what I know thus far, keeping in mind, please, that these things change by the moment. So what will occur is that will bus service eventually return? Yes, we are told undoubtedly it will return once we are able to bring kids back. What we don't know is what are the requirements going to be from whether it be the state, municipality, or from that of the federal government as it relates to numbers of students on a bus, what proximity looks like, frequency of cleaning, and things of that sort. But yes, the hope is that we get to a point where we can absolutely restore that. As for the procedures for kids entering, I can't speak to that piece yet. What I can speak to is what we do for our staff. So I don't know that that will necessarily be the case, but it would be my assumption that we would have a similar process of a screening in the sense of quite likely temperature. But again, it comes down to what the agreed upon plan is between that of the school district leadership and that of the municipality and state under the direction of CDC, as well as quite a few other members of this task force that is just trying to make informed decisions.
Mr. Nog?
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Farmer here. Wanted to know if we do go back, will we still have the option to do the virtual, or do we have to, basically, run into school here?
Sure. Now, that's a great question. And I will share with you what I know to this point. And what what I was told is that changes can be made as far as what you choose as your enrollment at quarter. So if you chose to, like, let's say we're in a scenario where it appears things are safe, there's been green lights given from most people in the community, most importantly from that of our leadership and the health community. We're going to have to see, but what I'm told at this point is if you wanted to remain virtual, then you would have to track transfer, as we call it, to ASD virtual. And that comes with its own host of transitions. But we're going to have to just come to that bridge when we cross it, because right now the answer is, the hard and fast answer would be that if we return to school, the expectation is that you return to school. But I also understand, respect, and support parents' desires to make informed decisions for their kids. And that's where we just have to take every scenario as it comes. And it's really difficult to make definitive statements in this time. But what I would say is know that nothing matters more to me than making sure that we are mutually keeping our kids safe and getting them the education that's most appropriate for them. So hopefully that answers some of your question. How about other questions out there?
I have a question about being able to change classes. I know that you mentioned earlier that they have 5 days.
Correct.
To change classes. Is that at the beginning of each of at least the first quarters, because they don't get to experience their second quarter classes?
Absolutely, yes. Exactly that. We're speaking about 1 quarter at a time. So we don't want to get too far ahead because things could change. And at the same time, we just we need to focus on the present a little bit. And as part of that, yes. So we're not putting any kind of pressure on subsequent quarters, 2, 3, 4 at this point. We're simply just worried about quarter one. You know, students have one elective. Let's do our best to get them into an elective that's mutually agreeable, that we have the opportunity to put them in. But yes, don't worry about any other quarter at this point.
Okay, and if they want to change, who do we talk to? Do we just call the front office?
Nope. So all you would do is just email their counselor. So their counselors, if you go to our website, you can see them there. Let me see if it'll let me go there. Yep. And so if you go to this, do you guys see this staff button here? Are you seeing that, hopefully? There's a staff directory. And so you're just going to look up Miss Briers and Miss Harley. And those are our 2 counselors. And between them, they will be able to answer your questions. All right. Anything else out there?
Hi, see it. If we ever do start school again, is there any sports of ping pong?
Well, we do. Yes, we have a unit in PE that is called racket sports, and when we return, I hope that I get the first game of ping pong against you, because that is definitely one of my favorites. And I'm sure Mr. Maz is not on this Zoom, but I'm just going to let you know right now I'm still undefeated in the game of pickle, so I'm taking all challengers. But yes, I can't wait for the opportunity. So, do we have a ping pong team? No, but we can duel.
All right. Thank you very much.
Got it.
I also have another question. I'm wondering if Mr. Whitfield, since he's on here, could speak a little bit more specifically about how band is going to work.
Hello, hi. Can you see me? Am I on?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So I've got a couple things that I've planned. It's obviously not going to be as collaborative as what it would be if we had all the band kids in the same room. But a couple of things that I have planned is we're going to be using a program called Smart Music. It's a subscription service, but luckily I've got a subscription for all of our students. And basically what it is the kids get to play band music with actual recordings of the music going on with them, with a band playing. And the computer actually grades you and gives you feedback on what your part is at the same time as the band music is going on. It's pretty innovative. It's about the best thing we can do to try to recreate the experience, but I'm approaching the band class as it's going to be a lot of I'm trying to teach it like it's a individual private lesson for every kid. So there'll be a lot of focus on skill development, having fun, kind of getting back into the swing of things after taking some time off. And then hopefully by the time we get back to what we're used to and we use kind of the Zoom model and Smart Music and some of the other programs I have to kind of get us back up to snuff. I'm crossing my fingers and hopefully we'll be able to get back in a setting where we can play as a group again. So that's kind of what I've got planned. There's a lot to talk about, but I don't want to go through every little detail right now because it's going to be a pretty dynamic situation with how things are going. But I can tell you right now, my number one goal is to get kids to play and to have a lot of fun because, if your children are anything like mine, they just really, really are looking forward to getting back into some form of normal. And that's really what my goal is. So, yeah.
And I want to mark this day in history that is the first time that the words middle schooler and normal have occurred in the same sentence. So please let's get that on the calendar.
So yeah, I hope that if you have specific questions, I'm happy to answer them too. But like I said, I've got a pretty good idea of how I want things to go. Last quarter when we did it, I put together a whole bunch of virtual band videos where kids recorded their individual parts, and I spent hours doing video editing and audio editing and making these fun videos. I don't know how much time I'm going to have doing it, something similar, but we may do some of those this year too. So we'll see. We'll just kind of see how things roll. So that's kind of the plan.
Thank you, Mr. Whitfield. Appreciate that. And so I just want to mention a few more people that are important to know. Miss Kristen Cart, she is our math department chair. Miss Dawn Anderson is our science chair. Stephanie Franz is our social studies chair, and Mr. Klott is our language arts chair. Mr. Whitfield is our fine arts department chair. And again, Miss Jenny Leapart is our special education department chair. And as for our counselors, they are co-chairs. So Miss Briers and Miss Harley are your contacts on that. And again, Nurse Bell, Kathy Bell is our nurse. So those are just some also very important folks to know and great resources out there. So if you have specific curricular questions, quite frequently I can answer them, but sometimes we may need to call in the expert, and we can definitely do that.
Mr. Nog, looking at the chat conversations here from Evan, he's got if I understand this correctly, all teachers will send us an email with the Zoom invitation per each class. That email, is that going out to the individual student or is that going out to the parent?
Great question. So we're gonna send it out to both, but it's gonna come in the form of an email. Typically, it's probably not every kid has an email address, whereas when parents register, we always have their email address. And so I've sent out earlier today to staff, I sent out the example template for what those emails should look like, because some of the feedback that I got from parents, and again, please, whenever you have feedback that's actionable, please share it with me, because one of the things that was shared with me last quarter was, man, Mr. Nog, I'm getting 10,000 emails and I just don't know who's what where. And so the subject line is going to say GVMS, comma, the class, the period, and the teacher, so that you know, okay, got it. This is what it's from, because with having that, and then in that initial invitation, which is how that will be titled, additionally, there will be the Zoom link and password that will be in that email. And so then that way it's just a quick, concise, easily referenced piece of communication for you. So
And consistent from all the teachers, right?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Because I know how that goes, just getting peppered with emails from every direction all day. And I typically get the email and forward it to my daughter because I'm not sure if she's picking them up. So at least I'm seeing them, but I'm not seeing 10 of them, that just spawns 10 more. So
correct.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Oh, you bet. And initially you will get an email from each of their teachers for the first quarter. So, but we have to do it that way so that you can get the Zoom link.
Yep.
But then thereafter, messages are going to be sent to kids via Canvas. And then anything of major note, I always send my communications, whether that be email, whether I do a robocall, whether it's posts or whatever the case is. So if you truly need to know about it, and it's not just simply typical classwork, you will not receive every single piece of that unless you choose to do that within Parent Observer.
So now we can all put a face to the robocall dude.
I'm that guy. I'm that guy.
Mr.
Just
Nog.
one other question on the students' email. That's something that I like I say, I'm not sure if my daughter's email is logged in there, but that's something that we can do through Zangle, is to get her email into the system, right?
Through Q, yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, definitely. And if you run into any problem, just give us a ring and we will help you work through it.
We know where you're at.
You know where I'm at. I mean, it's 8 o'clock at night. I'm still here.
Yeah, right on. Thank you very much.
Got it.
Mr. Nog?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had a quick question. Now, picking up on that, now the first day of school, are the kids going to go into Canvas and there's going to be a Zoom link there? Or is there going to be a separate Zoom link from the teachers that are going to send
the
it?
teacher is, well, not everybody is adept at accessing Canvas. So we're going to send that initial Zoom link via email. And then, of course, what I would say is get into Canvas. That same link will be in Canvas.
Okay.
For initial purposes of like, hey, it's 8:40 on Thursday here. You know what to do. Just look for those emails, click that link, and you'll be in the right place.
Okay. All righty. Yeah. So everything will be on Canvas there. We just click and click and go. Okay. Thank you much, sir.
You got it.
And if and when we do go back to school, my daughter's been down to Golden View a few times. Will there be like ushers to tell them where their classes are and everything, or are they?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there is. Okay.
Oh yeah, there will. We this is our life is middle school, and so we have a system for assisting students on the first day of the year, as well as the first day of each historically semester or quarter, to find those places, because yes, it will be a little confusing trying to find those new places, and so again, that's just one of those small pieces that will work out. And depending upon how we return, we may be able to do an evening or an opportunity to have kids come and just get familiar again, because everybody really hasn't been here for 5-6 months, right? So it's something that we'll take a look at. But yes, don't worry, we have plenty of staff for that. Well, all right. Well, seeing no more hands, I just appreciate everybody and thank you for making time for this. Again, never hesitate to reach out to us, please. And we are excited to have you all back. We can't wait to get back to the business of just school. So again, if there's something you guys need, don't hesitate to reach out and we will do everything within our power to support you. So be well, be safe, and we'll see everybody hopefully very soon. Have a great evening.